It had taken Michelle Summers 15 long and singularly uneventful years to realise it, but tonight, as she stood shivering in the dark, beneath the rotting timbers of the ancient bus shelter, while the rain beat down in a steady, staccato rhythm on the roof above her, she finally acknowledged the sad and simple fact: she hated her mother. Hated her. The stupid, fat cow. If her mom ever said anything to her these days, it would start with the words, "You used to. You used to be so nice. You used to be fun. You used to be such a pretty little thing," implying, of course, that she was no longer any of these things. Michelle Summers had little enough self-confidence without her own mother repeatedly reminding her that she wasn't nice, pretty, or fun anymore. Michelle watched as rivulets of water rolled down the inner walls of the shelter till they met in pools on the rutted, grey concrete floor. The spreading water forced Michelle out of the bus stop's innermost corners, and the wind whistled through the wooden shelter. In Michelle's view, she lived in a shabby village in the middle of nowhere at the arse end of the northeast of England, and there was nothing that wasn't at least a bus ride away, even her home. Michelle swore that when she was finally old enough, she would leave Great Middleton forever, because there was absolutely nothing great about it. Everybody knew everybody else, everybody's parents knew everyone else's parents, and everybody minded everyone else's business. You couldn't get away with anything in Great Middleton. Michelle had arrived at the shelter just in time to see the penultimate bus of the night pulling asthmatically up the hill ahead of her, farting black smoke out of its rear end as it forced itself slowly over the summit like the little engine that could. Now she was glad she had given in when her mum insisted on wearing a coat, even though it covered the cool top she'd worn that night and the body that was developing very nicely, thank you very much. Even her mum was jealous of that. I wish I had a flat stomach like you, our Shell, she'd say, and a bum that small it's like a peach. Denny had certainly noticed the change in this past year, the dirty perv. Michelle hated her stepdad almost as much as her mum, and loathed the way they both called her Shell, like she was something washed up on a beach. With a bit of luck, her stepdad would be out in his lorry by now. He did more and more night jobs these days, to beat the traffic, he said, but she wondered if he was just as sick of living in their house as Michelle. Her mum would likely be asleep on the couch, a lukewarm gin and orange cordial congealing on the table next to her. It'd be half drunk, just like her mum, and Michelle could creep quietly upstairs to her room. It wasn't a very nice thing to admit you hated your mother. Michelle knew that. She was supposed to love her mum, go out on shopping trips with her, share jokes, talk to her boyfriends and stuff, buy her chocolates on Mother's Day, that sort of thing. She knew girls who did have that kind of relationship. My mum's pretty cool, let's say. She talks about sex and everything. She's going to put me on the pill when I'm older. But Michelle wasn't going to talk about sex with her mum. Not in this life. Her sole pronouncement on the subject, once her daughter had started seeing Daz Tully on a fairly regular basis, was to mutter, "Don't forget, Shell, nothing below the waistline." She didn't want to go shopping with her mum either. The fat cow would probably only want to buy chocolates, crisps or gin. The woman had completely given up. She wondered what Denny saw in her at all. Really, did they even still do it anymore? They were both over 40 after all. Maybe they just didn't bother. Perhaps you didn't when you were that old. That would explain why Denny was such a perv, always hanging around outside the bathroom with that stupid grin on his face. The first time wasn't long after her 15th birthday, and she'd come out of there with only a bath towel wrapped round her. There he was, standing on the landing, like he'd just that minute climbed the stairs, but she knew differently. "Whoops," he'd said. Like it was all a big accident. But his eyes had given him away. They'd lit up like a kid's on Christmas morning, and he had definitely given her the once-over, just like the boys at the youth club. His glance, travelling south, from top to bottom, face, tits, then bits.